Started with Keola. I am your host, Keola, and I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I really appreciate everyone that watches, that has subscribed, that's sharing the videos, that's making comments. It really means a lot to me, so I want to thank you guys for that. And as you know, this podcast is about real conversations, about real life experiences, and becoming better versions of ourselves, right? So today I want to talk to you guys about egotistical people. And one thing I've learned is that the ego never sees itself, right? So if you're an egotistical person, you're probably very out of touch with your behavior. So today I just want to talk briefly about that. And being egotistical is obviously very different on the spectrum of, we should have self-worth. We should love ourselves. We should value ourselves. We should think of ourselves in a very positive light. But there is a wide spectrum of being, valuable to yourself versus being egotistical. And that's where you become high-minded and you begin to think more highly of yourself than you should. So as you all know, I have been, if you watched me on previous episodes, I've been an agent, real estate agent for 21 years. And one thing I've learned as being an agent is that a lot of people have very high egos. And that becomes inflated from maybe you've sold a lot of homes, maybe you've done high volume, maybe you're dealing with celebrities when you're, closing your deals, maybe you're servicing luxury clients, luxury sellers, luxury buyers. And so that tends to cause you to develop a sense of, being a little pompous because you're kind of equating your accomplishment to the value of yourself as a human being. I professionally have sold over 600 homes as an agent, but guess what? At the end of the day, I'm still just a human, just like anyone else. I don't think I'm any better than an agent who just started yesterday. The difference between me and that person is that I have years of experience and I've closed several transactions, so, I'm very seasoned in what I'm doing. But egotistical people, not just, in the real estate industry, just across the board. I mean, have you been in a situation where maybe you're trying to plan, a group trip, maybe you're planning a family outing, maybe you're in charge of an event or something at work, and you have that person who's egotistical and everything has to be about them, everything has to revolve around their schedule and their availability, and it just makes it so challenging to move forward with whatever it is that you're planning because that person really believes that they are that important. The people that you send a text to or you leave a voicemail and for whatever reason they never respond. And that's different from being available, right? Because if I'm not available to take your call or not available to respond to your text, I'm not available. But there are people who practice this, right? They just, for whatever reason, don't want you to think that they're available, don't want you to think that they can respond to your text or voicemail because their ego has to inflate itself to make themselves feel like I'm presidential, so I don't need to respond to you. I'll get to you whenever I can because I'm superior and you're inferior. There are lots of men in our society who believe women are inferior and men are superior. Where that came from, where's the validity in that, where's the source to fact check that, to say that men are more important than women, I'm yet to find it. So if somebody knows where it is so I can research it, please share it with me. But it's their ego. Should a man be a leader? Absolutely. Should a man be the provider and the protector? Absolutely so, if that works in your scenario. But in no way does that mean that you're better than a woman. It doesn't mean that she's inferior or you're superior. So I just kind of think the ego causes people to think more highly of themselves. Does it mean that, there are people out there who have 7-figure incomes, 7-figure salaries, and, they're able to afford a quality of a lifestyle that, has luxury attached to it? Does that mean that they're better than the person who makes 3 figures? What is it, 5 figures? I don't even know what the number is at this moment. But in reality, you're still just a human being. You're still flawed. You're still made of the same components that makes all humans humans, right? So for what reason are we as a society moving in the direction of I'm so important, a celebrity? Oh my goodness, you have people just passing out and crying and when they see a celebrity. This person has just worked in a career field. Would you do that if you saw your physician? If you saw your doctor in the mall, would you pass out and start crying? Of course not. So a celebrity is just another human being that's worked in a capacity that's produced a level of success for them. But guess what? They're flawed. They make mistakes. They have things about them that are imperfections, just like the person who hasn't reached that level of success. So it doesn't make anyone any better, any less. We're all humans. We're all flawed. And so you deal with people that, are notoriously late, right? So I can remember a personal experience where I was a person who was tardy. Not really, because remember, the ego doesn't see itself, so not really even in tune to the fact that this was the message I was communicating. And I heard an episode of Dr. Phil where he talked about people who were notoriously late, are actually selfish and self-centered. And that resonated with me because I never want to be someone that is remembered, or the impression I leave is that I'm selfish or I'm self-centered. So I began to work on that. Am I still tardy at times? Yes. But is it something I practice? No. Because what I want to be remembered by, I want that to be greater and more positive than a negative impact. I don't want to be remembered as being selfish, self-centered, egotistical, hard to deal with. Will you remember me as saying that lady was outspoken? But anytime I'm outspoken, I'm never coming from a place of I want to hurt you, or I'm coming, from a harsh position. And so I've made a commitment to myself to reflect on things that maybe I need to do to become a better version of me. If my ego in any way has caused me to maybe make some decisions in life that were not, would leave a positive impression, I'm working on those things. I'm asking that for those of you who are watching, who care about being better versions of yourself, to do a self-reflection, because in general, your ego is never going to allow you to just sit back and say, I need to become better, because we all want to believe that, we have no flaws. Or some people don't like to address their flaws because their self-esteem needs work. Work on your self-esteem. Go read a book. Go see a therapist. Go talk to your, pastor. Go speak to someone that you trust, that you believe will give you solid advice that can help you build your self-esteem. A lot of women are in relationships with men because they have no self-worth, and that man may be abusing them mentally or physically, or, maybe both aspects in some case, and they're remaining in the situation. Well, I can't even say men, because sometimes women are abusive. But they're remaining in the situation because they don't value themselves. I'm not speaking about those scenarios. I'm not talking about, the people who don't care about themselves. I'm saying you should have self-worth. I'm saying you should work on valuing you and know that you are unique within your own self. There's not another human being on this earth like you. So that in itself adds value. But does that mean that you are superior to another person, to another culture of people, to another race? I think racism ego has a lot to do with it, because if you look at me and think that makes you a better human being because you're from a different race group or culture, then you're deceived, because that's not true. You're flawed in some way too. So ego is definitely a negative connotation. And unless that's how you want to be remembered, unless that's how you want to continue to move in life, keep doing it. But for those of you who care, who want to be the best versions of yourselves, who want to improve where you can make room for improvement, this is when I think you should adjust, because the ego is one of those things where you're like, this person is so difficult. I don't want to be around them. It's not a pleasant experience. It's always difficult. It always has to be about them. I'm trying to plan a family trip. I'm trying to do an office event. I'm trying to do something that requires something other than this one person. And it's challenging to even make the thing come to pass because the person is so absorbed in themselves that they don't even see themselves. And you can't really bring it to their attention because they're so high-minded that they're like, I don't see me, and they don't want to look at it. They don't want to listen to you. They think that you're inferior. So don't you be that person. I don't want to be that person. Don't you be, let's not, collectively, let's not be those people. Let's be the person that we're remembered for our positive imprint that we're leaving on people. And so that's this week's episode. There you have it. I hope that I have shared some nuggets with you that will help you, that you can kind of begin to make the necessary adjustments. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. So make sure that you are subscribed if you are not, so you can stay up to date with all of my episodes. Thank you guys for sharing. Feel free to comment. And also to stay connected with me, make sure you are following me on TikTok and Instagram. I love you without judgment, and see you next time.